let's get into SIT.
Yes.
First of all, what is SIT therapy?
It's a very interesting modality designed to heal any trauma that's parked in the body. And acronyms are kind of a catchphrase nowadays. There's just so many of them. EDMR, ART, and, you just get lost in them all. So SIT stands for Subconscious Imprinting Technique. And what that means is we have now proven with science that the body can hold trauma in I like to say our issues are parked in our tissues. So
that's good. I like that.
If we go through any situation in life, life experiences from even in utero all the way until wherever you are now, our body holds record. And we can end up in a place in life where our body is maybe failing us, or emotionally we're not doing well, psychologically we're struggling, whatever it might be. It tends to be things we've picked up throughout life that get parked in our system. The subconscious imprinting is going into the subconscious and finding out what imprints are running in the background that no longer serve us. How do we remove those? So think of it like a virus in a computer. And then what do we replace it with in order to now get the results physically, emotionally, or mentally that we want in life instead?
Okay, there's a lot there. So
there's a lot. Let's break that down.
I am your host, a husband, father, witty conversationalist, and co-founder of the Movement Real Estate Group. Join me for engaging discussions with friends where we navigate through business, goals, self-development, relationships, and our community, and whatever else captures our interest. Come join me on this journey as we rediscover the art of conversation. Well, welcome back. It is episode 21 of the Movement Experience. I am your host, Faux Rogan, as I like to say. The real Joe Rogan was busy. I am your host, Merrick, and today I am very excited to have as my guest Leah Tabitha, SIT Practitioner. And if you don't know what that is, you're going to find out because it's actually super cool. And when I started this podcast, there was two people that I wanted to have on this podcast. Matt McIntyre, who does breathwork, and you, because before I had launched the podcast, you and I had just been talking about this kind of stuff. So it was fresh in my mind. I was like, this would be something that people need to hear. Yeah. So if you are tuning into this podcast, if you've heard my other podcasts, focus in because I think there's a lot of really good stuff we're going to go through. So first and foremost, who are you?
Well, that is the biggest question in the universe, isn't it?
That is.
Who am I? I am Leah Tabitha. I happen to also be your older sister.
That's true.
Super happy to be here with you. If you had asked us where we were in our life journey, even a few years ago, to end up here in this place talking about these things that I really do believe will change lives and change the world, how empowering is this to be able to do this together? So thank you, Merrick, for inviting me. This is absolutely such an honor, and I'm just so grateful that we've ended up here with our life journey.
And that our mother is like bellowing with pride right now.
Absolutely.
She's probably just falling off her chair. So
absolutely.
You're in town you're in Calgary.
Yes.
So you're in town, you're visiting for a surprise birthday for my brother, our brother, excuse me. Yes. And he has no idea. This is going to air after the party, so don't worry, we're not spoiling anything.
Yes.
But so I was super pumped. As soon as I knew you were coming, I was like, let's schedule this because I wanted you on here. So
thank you.
Let's get into SIT.
Yes.
First of all, what is SIT therapy?
It's a very interesting modality designed to heal any trauma that's parked in the body. And acronyms are kind of a catchphrase nowadays. There's just so many of them. EDMR, ART, and, you just get lost in them all. So SIT stands for Subconscious Imprinting Technique. And what that means is we have now proven with science that the body can hold trauma in I like to say our issues are parked in our tissues. So
that's good. I like that.
If we go through any situation in life, life experiences from even in utero all the way until wherever you are now, our body holds record. And we can end up in a place in life where our body is maybe failing us, or emotionally we're not doing well, psychologically we're struggling, whatever it might be. It tends to be things we've picked up throughout life that get parked in our system. The subconscious imprinting is going into the subconscious and finding out what imprints are running in the background that no longer serve us. How do we remove those? So think of it like a virus in a computer. And then what do we replace it with in order to now get the results physically, emotionally, or mentally that we want in life instead?
Okay, there's a lot there. So
there's a lot. Let's break that down.
You lost me at modality. So
yes.
Let's go back and let's go through the whole thing again because I want to really kind of dive into this. I want to make sure that everyone that's listening understands the jargon as we speak it through moving forward. So first of all, modality. What do you mean by modality?
A modality I would describe as any tool that is used for healing or improvement in life.
Okay.
It can be things like Reiki, massage, needling, dry needling.
Is that like, acupuncture? Is dry needling?
Acupuncture,
Okay.
that's another one as well.
So
like I
dry
said-
needling is different than acupuncture?
Yes.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, I
I've
guess a little
never
different.
even heard of dry needling.
I don't know much about it.
Okay.
I'm not an expert on it.
I'm not gonna dive into it, but yeah.
there's just so many. And I think that we're in a beautiful place right now in our society where we are open to new ways. And so a lot of these modalities that have actually been around for a long time are showing up and saying, hey, I work. Have you been doing the traditional talk therapy? Have you been taking the prescription drugs for 25 years? Have you been doing all the things, but you're not getting any change? There's no traction. And so now we're in this really cool space where we're starting to be open to, okay, hang on a second. Maybe there's some other things here that might work. I would say those are modalities. There's different healing options available now.
Okay. So you mentioned going into the subconscious. So you said that you had the tissues, issues are stored in your tissues.
Yeah.
So issues are stored in your tissues. What does that mean? And then you said your body doesn't, you can come to a place where your body's not functioning properly. So let's get into that. So let's start with the issues in the tissues. What is that?
Sure. So I can nerd out on this. If I start rambling off, let me know.
Let's do it.
I like to think of it this way. So for me, I'm my brain likes logic. I like science. I like to be able to see things under a microscope. Show me why it works, and then I can get behind it. If somebody says, "Oh, well, it just does," I'm like, "Yeah, but why?" I want to break that down. So I started to do a lot of research into work by Dr. Joe Dispenza, Dr. Gabor Mate, Bruce Lipton, people that are
love all of those guys, by the way.
Doing work with microscope, with
Bruce,
brain scans.
One second. Bruce Lipton was he did what book was that he just did? I think I'm just reading it. Oh, what's the name of his book?
Oh, he's got many fabulous.
He just did one on, it was like not biology, but it's like, it doesn't. I'm sorry, I'm going to digress, but go on.
That's okay.
I
He
can't
does
remember the name
fabulous
of it.
work.
I'm just going through it. It's really interesting. So.
Any book written by any of those three men, please read them.
So
It's
Joe
fabulous
Dispenza,
work. Yes,
Gabor Mate,
Bruce Lipton. Dr. Daniel Amen. There's so many men out there right now that are doing amazing work where they're understanding now that we have to combine neuroscience with energy and our body, and we have to combine all these things. We can't just walk in and address a physical symptom by taking a pill and not addressing the root cause.
Right.
I am always interested in the root cause.
Yeah, 100%.
So when someone comes to me and says, "Oh, I've just been suffering for 15 years with migraines," well, what do you do for it? Well, nothing. They can't fix it. They can't make it go away. Well, there's a reason your body has, right?
Can you imagine 15 years? Just living with that from 15 years.
But just believing that you're resigned to that struggle for the rest of your life and that there's no answer for you.
Yeah.
And that feeling of hopelessness, that you can't fix it, is almost worse than the migraine itself.
So, you mentioned the body not working properly. Can we break that down a bit? Like, I would imagine that you can really have a myriad of issues. It's not just like in one vein. Like it can appear anywhere.
I see everything.
Yeah. So what kind of I mean, I don't want you to talk in detail about a patient or something, but like give me some examples of if someone's listening in Radioland, as I like to call them. You mentioned migraines. What other kind of things are you seeing pop up that are common things that people are just living with? They think it's normal.
So people come to me on all levels: physical, emotional, mental. You name it. If there's anything going on, it's not just a physical issue.
Okay.
I see things all the way from joint pain, IBS, anxiety, migraines, autoimmune disorders, cancer, you name it. Anything that is not the natural frequency and vibration of your body. If you have reoccurring back pain, if you have, like I said, headaches, I just have a bad elbow. Well, nobody just has a bad elbow. Where did that come from? What was happening in your life at the time? Where's the pressure? So when anyone comes to me, we start with, what's the reason? Why are you here? And it can be, I suffer from anxiety. Out of nowhere, you just have anxiety.
Right.
Nobody is ever born with anxiety. So where did your body pick that up, right? What happened to you where you suddenly went, I need anxiety as a protection to keep me safe from, and your body ran a program for you, and it worked. It was what you needed. Your body is very intelligent. It was absolutely accurate for the time.
Right. So at the time you're going through something specific, you have anxiety, and that protects you in that moment. And now the brain is going to make a a roadway.
That's right.
And you're going to continue to operate on that roadway, even when that's not necessary anymore.
Yeah, we called it a neural pathway.
Yep.
And you reinforce it every time you use it, it gets stronger.
Right.
The problem is the subconscious brain doesn't understand time. It only understands an imprint in the moment. And so when it makes that for you, hey, I've got you, I'm going to keep you safe. Anxiety is going to protect you. It doesn't understand the threat is gone, the tiger's no longer chasing you, and it can't shut it off.
Right.
So now
or
you
the
just
abuser is
run
no
that.
longer there, or
That's
whatever
right.
the case is. That's
right.
the bully or whatever it is that caused the trauma in the first place.
That's right. So now we have to go into the subconscious and we have to say, thank you. Thank you for showing up. Thank you for creating a migraine for me so I could check out of that situation where I felt unsafe and I knew I didn't need to be there.
Are you talking, you're actually doing this, or you're talking metaphorically?
It's part of our session.
So you're going, are you thinking the subconscious, or you're getting them to think they're subconscious?
So my clients I'll give them a talk track. I'll have them repeat after me, and we're going to get them back in contact with themselves, their true voice, and get them back in contact with their body and say, this is what's happening inside. This is what your body's feeling right now. And so we'll find out why your body created the anxiety. We'll find the root cause, what happened when, how old were you, who was involved, why did your body need that program? And then we have to give your body permission to release that program. Thank it for how well it showed up for you, but now give it permission to run a new program instead. That's very important. So now think of it like we've discovered the virus.
Okay.
We're erasing the bad coding.
Okay.
We're saying, thank you. You know, we need to redo this now, and we're going to enter in a new code.
Because the virus, I mean, I understand the term that you're using as a virus, but I mean, really, we created the virus to protect ourselves from whatever was happening at the time.
Absolutely.
So the virus in itself is like, yeah, it's a virus. It's a good way to reference it in your mind to know we're replacing that like a computer virus. But essentially, you coded your own virus.
Absolutely.
And so you're now the virus is operating based on the need that you had for it at the time.
Absolutely.
But now you no longer need that virus or whatever.
And then there's also going to be other reasons for things. So anxiety is one example, but if we go into all sorts of, there's so many different things. You know, if you have a thyroid issue, have you spent your entire life taking care of other people around you, giving more than you got? You know, so there's going to be, whatever this physical symptom is, I understand what the root of that would be. So I can put those pieces together, and I have the puzzle that I put together in front of me, and I say, okay, here's the puzzle all together now. This is the full picture. And people can go, oh my goodness.
Right.
You're right. I had no idea. Once we connect those dots and you now become consciously aware of why your body was running that program subconsciously, we now know how to heal. The body is a fabulous, fabulous machine. You can cut yourself and you know you're going to scab that over and you're going to heal. We trust that. But why can't we trust the internal healing, that your body's truly, it truly knows how it needs to put itself together again? We just need to give it the right raw material, the right pieces.
And that's those pieces start in awareness.
Absolutely.
Right.
Figuring out what that problem is, figuring out what the root is. You see, and this is kind of where I'm a little bit ironically spiritual community right now. I'm kind of railing a little bit on my TikTok account about, and I have to be careful, obviously, because it's personal for me. I'm frustrated with this concept of just, love and light, love and light, love and light. Everything will be fine.
What's love and light?
The spiritual feeling of we can all just come in and kumbaya and everything will be okay.
Right.
But you're not embodying awareness of the root of where things came from.
Right.
Right? So you're not actually digging in and finding out. You've got this flower bed and it's growing a weed, and you're looking at it all and going, well, at least it has beautiful flowers too.
Right.
Well, if you pop the head off the dandelion, it's just going to grow right back.
Right.
You have to get into the root of the cause. Always get to the root. And I think sometimes people are a little bit afraid to do that work because when we suffer for a long time, we believe that the healing needs to be as long and as painful and as complicated and hard as the suffering was in order to balance that scale and validate our journey.
Right.
I didn't suffer for 15 years to be able to walk in and go, it's gone. Because then why did I suffer and struggle for so long if the healing could be so easily available to me?
Right.
And it almost invalidates the struggle. And we've been sold this bill of goods that we need to always be climbing uphill in life. Everything has to be work hard and heal hard and go to talk therapy for 25 years. Yes. And so now it's almost, sometimes for people it can be easier to stay in that place of pain that you know than to venture into starting to dig down and go, oh, but what's buried under there? And that might be a little scary. So if you have a trained practitioner who can help you and can guide you and can come in, I mean, I tell people that come to see me, on average, you shouldn't need to see me for more than 4 to 7 sessions. And if you are, what are we doing?
Right.
Are we actually getting to the root?
Tell that to the therapist that you go see for 30 years.
Right.
I love that because
Right.
that's a good point because when you were mentioning, people feel like they've suffered for 15 years, so they have to have 15 years of healing or whatever it is.
Yes.
It's like, people go to hypnosis, like to quit smoking.
Yeah.
And then, they smoke for 6 years and they go to therapy and they keep smoking, keep smoking, but then they go to hypnosis and they're like, boom, it's instant. And then they go, well, the hypnosis really didn't work.
It was too easy.
But you're not smoking anymore.
Yes.
Yeah, I said, you know what? If I was going to go to hypnosis, I better just give this crap up.
Exactly.
It's like, wait a minute. You went to hypnosis to hypnotize you to stop smoking. You stopped smoking, and then it's not the hypnosis that helped you. It was just you made the decision. Oh, that's good. You made the decision to not smoke anymore. So it's like sometimes people can't get out of their own way. It's
absolutely
hilarious.
Yes.
But it's like my point of that is you don't get over smoking for 6 years. You just stop smoking. It's a
instantaneous.
It's a light switch.
Absolutely.
Right. You're just not a smoker anymore. You don't identify with being a smoker. So I would imagine that part of the problem for people is like, I have anxiety. I identify as someone with anxiety.
Exactly.
My ego and my self-identity is wrapped up in this thing that I have, and it becomes part of who they are. So then you're asking them to give up part of who they are. Now, if they're not willing to actually do that, then they're going to hold on to it.
Great point. Let's talk about that for a minute.
Let's do it.
That's actually part of how I find that this modality stands out from some of the others.
Right.
So I believe they all have their place. Some of them, I actually hold quite a few myself, and I layer a few of them. I pull tools from every different little place, and I've built my own toolbox that makes me unique in what I do. Now, some of them complement each other quite well. And one of the reasons why I love working with this SIT modality is that understanding how the body works right down to a cellular level, all the way up into your neuroscience level, explains that if you understand that the ego has to run that program for you because it believes it's keeping you alive.
Right.
So if you lose an identity, the subconscious brain is currently feeling like it's dying.
Right.
And its only job is to keep you safe and alive.
That's right.
It doesn't understand the why, the what. It just knows that's the only thing I'm here to do.
Right.
So if I all of a sudden say, well, we don't need anxiety anymore, and the ego, the subconscious brain is all of a sudden going, oh, but that means death.
Right.
The important part is the reprogram.
Right.
So instead of I no longer need my anxiety, I'm just going to lay that down and walk away. Well, now who am I?
Right.
It's I no longer need that anxiety because I am now healthy, strong, and grounded in who I am, and I know that I am safe and can take care of me. And here's the proof why I know that works.
Right.
And then step out and use the tools that I give my clients on a daily basis and say, now go practice this every day. I want you to put this into practicality. I want you to walk out and embody this.
Right.
And now you've got a full circle where you're not asking your body to walk in and go, I don't know what this means. I don't know what's on the other side of that. And your panic mode triggers your anxiety. Right. Now, this works for all sorts of different. I don't want to focus on just.
Yeah, sorry. I want to ask a follow-up question on that. So,
Sure.
When you're giving them a tool, they're going away and they're reaffirming their new identity.
Absolutely.
Every time that they operate the tool, they're
Yes.
they're building that. I always equate it. I can't remember. I was talking to Matt maybe about this, but you have a dirt road, and then you build a 2-lane road, and then a 4-lane road, and then it's an 8-lane each side super mega highway. So it's like when you're operating, let's say in anxiety, because we were talking about that.
Yeah.
You've got a highway, and you've been running on that track for 15 years. Now you've got a dirt road, and it's a lot harder to go down that dirt road.
That's
it's
right.
slower, and you got to really push to get down that dirt road, and eventually that becomes a 1-lane paved road, and then a 2-lane paved road, and so on.
So let me correct something in there that is very close to how it works. I just want to tweak one little thing.
Tweak away.
The brain is a fabulous machine, highly effective, and it doesn't like to waste energy.
Okay.
So what ends up happening is when you've got that highway that you're running, the brain's going to go, hey, we've already got the highway built. Let's just use that instead. When my clients are coming to me and I say I love things on a scientific level, the work that I'm doing could be watched through a brain scan. So if we put little pads in your brain and we watched you on a machine, you would actually watch your brain firing a new neural pathway physically in our sessions, and your cells would change. So the actual blood under a microscope would look different pre and post session. So this is happening at a cellular level.
That's so cool.
Yeah. And so now if you think about how the brain works, when you have a neural pathway that's developed, like you said, it's a major interstate highway, and you don't even care that it's a toll road. It's costing you something to drive that road.
That's a nice analogy.
But you're still going to use it. Now, the difference is in the session, what we're doing is we're building that new neural pathway. And yes, it's a little tiny dirt road. Think of it like a little baby muscle. It's just brand new. And yes, you have to, so what I'm doing is in that moment, when you have that auto response, just that automatic reaction to something that you don't want to be that anymore. You don't want to have anger, or you don't want to lash out at people. You have this instant reaction. What I'm giving people the option for now is a split-second moment of choice.
Right.
So when we have autopilots that run, it is, you have these auto behaviors that you're like, why am I like that all the time? Well, it's just who I am. I've just always been like that.
Yeah.
This is me. I can't change. All of that is programs. So in those moments, instead of being in traffic and flipping the guy the bird and being angry, you have an option to take each road, and now you have that split-second choice where you can say to yourself, who do I want to be today?
Right.
And every time you choose that little road and you map the energy that direction, this one shrinks.
Oh, really?
And this is the cool part about our brain. It's very efficient. So it won't keep two roads running.
That's right.
Right? So this is why we believe if you have a habit and you do it for 21 days, eventually it becomes strong. That's why. You've actually established the neural pathway, and it's grown and grown and grown. The other one's shrinking, though.
Interesting.
So you need it less.
Right.
So what we're doing in those sessions, and this is, I don't want to come across like this is just some miracle thing that you're going to walk in and it's just super easy.
Sounds like it.
I know. So we've got to talk a little bit real right now.
Yeah.
It's that you have choice in the moment, backed up by tools that are going to make you feel strong and empowered towards your healing.
Right.
And your brain is actually going to physically change to help you with this new growth. So that highway's shrinking, but the brain's rerouting all that energy it used to spend over here to your new road.
With no tool.
If you're using the tools and you're actually
no tool. Yeah.
Oh, with no toll. I thought you said tool. Yes,
with
exactly.
no toll.
Yes, exactly.
You were on the toll road.
And then your
now
brain
you're
goes, oh, this actually feels better.
Yeah.
Okay, actually, we kind of like this a little bit.
Right.
Hang on a second. And every little bit of that is affirming exactly the path that you're on.
Yeah, I think the key there, too, is having that split second to make that choice.
Yes,
right. So
that's everything.
If you're not self-aware and you just keep running on the same program,
Bingo.
you're just going down the same, like you're getting the same results. But it's like as soon as you have that decision, that split second, like, do I need to flip this guy off? Or, you know what? I really don't know all the circumstances. Maybe his wife's in the back seat and she's bleeding really badly and they're trying to get to the hospital before the baby's born. And he's scared and nervous. And you don't know. You have no idea what's going on. Maybe his mom fell down at home and he's rushing to get to his mom. You have no idea what's going on.
So that implies compassion, and that implies understanding that someone could be struggling, and now you're being the hero by allowing them in.
Sure.
What if he's just a jerk?
Yeah. Who cares?
And what if you don't have to engage with that energy? But you have the choice to now say, I don't have to accept every invitation ever given to me because I grew up in a home where my dad said, hey, sissies never back down from a fight. What, were you picked on at the schoolyard today? What was wrong with you? Why didn't you stand up? Why didn't you hit him back? That program was received throughout childhood. Well, now you're the one driving down the highway.
Did you actually say that to you?
Well, I've heard it all. Not our father.
Okay. All right.
No.
I've heard that too before.
But there's always a
like,
root program, right?
Yeah.
And everybody goes, well, nothing happened to me. I didn't have a traumatic childhood. I had a perfect childhood.
That. Yeah, I love
Nothing
that.
ever happened to me. Okay, let's chat.
Yeah, let's break it down. Were you ever bullied?
Yeah.
Oh, yeah, a couple times. Did you ever tell your parents that you were bullied? Well, once or twice, but not all the time.
Yeah.
Why not all the time? Oh, because there's a disconnect there.
Exactly.
Yeah, I know. I love that. I listened to Gabor Mate did a podcast. I was listening to it the other day, and he was talking about that. And the guy was like, they were going back and forth, or whatever. And he's like, oh yeah, I guess. And because I don't know if you told me this or I heard it on that podcast, but it's like trauma is what you do to yourself internally, or how does that saying go?
So we believe that trauma is an external experience that happens to us that we're out of control of.
Right.
So it's something that you've endured that came to you, that landed in your realm in reality, that was not something you wanted. It can be either too little, too much, too long.
Sorry, too little,
enough.
like you wanted more contact with your parents, you
Yes.
didn't get enough, you were neglected.
Yes.
Too much would be like
Yes.
too much on the negative of whatever.
Yes.
Too much physical, abuse or whatever it was.
Absolutely.
Sure. Okay.
So that's what we describe as trauma.
Okay.
A different definition of trauma would be that trauma is not what happens to you; it's the response that happens internally.
That's right.
To the thing.
That
is the trauma now that's in you,
Right.
and this is why our issues are in our tissues, because it happens to you, but how you respond and reflect back. So that's why you can go through a situation and come out and be like, "What? It didn't faze me at all."
Right.
I can go in and I'm destroyed. I'm in therapy for 25 years because it's how I responded.
I know, because siblings will have a different perspective of their childhood.
Yes.
Because maybe it was
ours was fine.
Yeah,
it was perfect. It was rosy. It was lovely.
Totally. Parenting order, like, you know, you were the firstborn, I'm the fourth, so we had a different experience. I'm a male, you're a female, we had a different experience. But also, we internalize things differently.
Yes.
Every person does. And so something that was really, really maybe neglectful to you was nothing that affected me. And vice versa. Something that was like, wow, I can't believe you said that, or I can't believe this happened. You're like, oh, that's just commonplace. No problem.
Yes.
So it's, I mean, people are like quick to say, oh, I had great parents. They were really good. We're not bashing your parents. Your parents
They did the best they could
with what they had.
Yes.
100%.
Yep.
But it's about an awareness that there could be something lying there that's hindering you from optimizing your life, being the best version of yourself that you want to be. So that's kind of what I want to make sure people in Radioland know that we're not here to shit on parents. We are quite the opposite of that. Like, I mean, your parents did the best they could.
Absolutely.
And honestly, there was some bad medical advice in it. Like, close the door, say goodnight firmly, and close the door and let them cry it out.
Bad
Terrible
psychology.
advice.
Horrible.
Gabor Mate talks about that and how bad it is. And you look at, like, is it hunt gather parent, something like that, where they, you know, other places in the world, you know, they raise the kids in like a village-like setting where they have their mother, but they also have like quasi other mothers that they can go to, and everyone takes care of everyone's kids. A mother, if she, I think it's like, I can't remember exactly how long it was, but literally she lays in bed. All the other women in the village will bring food to her.
30 days.
Yeah, 30 days. There you go. And they basically, it's about
40 actually in some cultures, but sorry.
There you go. Yeah. And they work on the bond, and that's the only thing that she's supposed to do is work on the bond.
That's right.
And it's like, in Western culture, mothers are like, this is how you put the diaper on. Did you know that 1 in 4 mothers in the U.S. go back to work within 2 weeks of giving birth?
Yeah.
1 in 4.
Yep.
1 in 4.
And then we wonder why we're all sitting here saying,
Isn't that
"Oh no,
insane?
I'm fine. It's fine. We're fine."
So to go back to what we were saying, we're not bashing on. There was some bad advice, and now there's some understanding of, like, wait a minute,
we're getting some science.
This is connected to this, and this is connected to that. And now they're making some really, really good connections. I love Gabor Mate's work. I love following what he does, and the other guys, Joe Dispenza. What was the other guy?
Bruce Lipton.
Bruce Lipton.
Dr. Daniel Amen.
Yeah.
Fabulous.
So it's good work.
Yes.
Yeah. Can we go back a little bit into the I want to go more bird's eye on SIT.
Yes.
And then I want to maybe go through, like, almost like what can someone expect?
Absolutely.
If that makes sense.
Yeah.
So we talked about SIT quickly, and then we got kind of into it. But what again is SIT? It stands for subconscious
imprinting technique.
Subconscious imprinting technique. How long has it been around?
Oh, well, I was in the very first class.
Really?
Yes.
So this is new.
Yes, I am. Well, so it's 6 years this year that I've been certified.
Yep.
I was in the very, very first class. I'm the alumni, and I've actually recertified.
Cool.
Just to keep my training up to date. I take courses every year.
Is it okay?
It is a fabulous modality that was created by some very, very intelligent friends of mine. Actually, I knew them before they started this, and they understood that there was a mix of things that they put together. They said, hang on a second. It was migraines was actually what one of them was suffering from.
For sure.
Migraines out of nowhere. Just all of a sudden she dropped to her knees screaming. She was in so much pain. And they said, hang on, the doctors couldn't fix her.
No way that's normal. Like, I don't understand how people can live with that. You know what I mean?
If you don't know that there's help out there, if you don't know there's options available to you, you do the best you can with what you have available.
Yeah, you're getting into diet and you're doing different things. You're thinking, oh, maybe if I...
What's wrong with me?
Yeah, maybe I'm not getting enough sleep. Maybe I'm getting too much sleep. And you're just breaking down everything trying to look for an answer.
And that's why I love that you invited me to come do this today, because the more we can get this information out there and say, hey, there are things that can help. So many people that I talk to are not even aware that there is a modality outside of Western medicine where you do talk therapy. You take your prescriptions and you're supposed to be healed. Or you go to the doctor and you take your prescriptions, you're supposed to be healed. And they're saying, well, I've been doing it, it should work soon. Like, how have you been doing that for? Well, it's 8 years. Okay, let's figure this out here.
I know, I always found that so funny. Like, a good therapist would constantly be looking for patients. Do you know what I'm saying?
Absolutely.
You think about it, right?
Absolutely.
You would be constantly looking for patients. Why?
Yes.
Because the point of therapy is to heal someone.
Work.
You should make them, hey, thanks. Like a good parent. What's a good parent? A good parent is you've made a human that no longer needs you.
And it's the hardest part of the success of the job
Sure.
is having to accept that.
Sure.
Because you
And
did a good job.
You did a great job. They are
Yes.
self-sufficient,
Yes.
and you are no longer needed.
Yep.
And if you are a good parent, they want to be in your life, but they don't need to be in your life.
Bingo.
And that's the key for parenting, and it should be the key for therapy. Like,
It's a cool analogy. Let's
right?
layer that. So I
Yep.
have people that come to me and I say to them, I want to see you for 4 to 7 sessions. You might need less. You might need a few more.
you're saying this.
Yeah, according to your body, what's going on with you. And it's interesting because I'll have people that'll come to me and they'll come see me for 3 or 4 sessions and they feel amazing. And we fixed whatever they came to me for. And I'm not sure they say the word fixed. We've addressed it.
Sure.
And then it's interesting because I'll get a call from them in 3 months and they'll say, hey, so this other thing came up. I'm like, yep, let's dig in. And then, we'll
That's
do a
awesome.
couple more sessions. Or they'll come to me. I've got people that come to me monthly. They just pre-book once a month because we are Velcro. We walk through life. Life happens to us. So they don't want to carry it. They don't want to let it
Velcro
fester.
things stick to you?
Yes.
Yeah, okay.
So rather than letting that embody, let it dig in and fester for a while and get really bad, they'll come to me and be like, this stuff came up, this happened. Let's just get rid of it.
It's like cleaning. It's like cleaning the wound, and instead of letting it get infected and get worse and worse and worse, you just clean the wound.
Because people believe that time heals all things.
It does eventually if you die,
Bingo.
because then you're dead.
And let's just pass
doesn't
it on
matter.
now to the next generation,
Yeah.
and they'll
that
address
is
it.
super interesting. So it's Bruce Lipton that talks about generational trauma, isn't
They
it?
all do, all 3 of them. Yeah.
So Joe Dispenza does too. But generational trauma is wild.
Oh,
like,
yes.
Like literally.
We could do a whole podcast on that.
We could. I don't want to go down the rabbit hole.
It's
I want
okay.
to talk about SIT, but
Yes.
it's like there was a guy. He was 19, and he started having night terrors or something like that. And it turned out that his uncle had frozen to death at 19
Yes.
on some power lines. And once they figured that out, he could basically like let it go, and then he could sleep again.
So stuff like that comes up in our sessions all the time.
That's wild.
So people will come to me and they'll have an irrational fear of being in the dark alone and they don't even know why.
Wow.
And then it actually turned out that it was generational, and it was actually 2 generations. So her mother had suffered in the dark alone. Her grandmother had actually suffered in the dark alone, and then it went back into Germany and it went back into the war. And
Wow.
so there's a lot of generational programming that we can get into.
And I want to be very clear. This isn't pseudoscience.
I will only discuss things that are scientifically.
This is absolutely
white
proven.
paper,
absolutely
peer-reviewed
proven.
studies.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
And they've done studies in rats. They've done studies with bacteria, different
Absolutely.
things. That is, it completely is proven that you can actually carry generational trauma that isn't even yours.
That's right.
And that's why it's when people it's like, I was going to ask you, it's like, who is this for? Who is this SIT therapy? Like, who needs SIT therapy? And if you think about it, it's like, if you're breathing, you probably should have a session. Like you could have a great life, and then you go, well, yeah, I guess I was a bit bullied, and then you start to go, okay, there is that, but it could be something that's not even you. It could be your father's father's father.
Absolutely.
And you're carrying this because how did it go? It has to be felt, and it has to be released. I don't know if you can touch on that.
Yes. So often pain, the only purpose that pain has is a messaging system.
Pain is my only weakness.
Well, you have a lot of messages coming in.
Yeah. So say that again. Sorry.
So pain, the only purpose that pain serves is that it's a messaging system. It's trying to get your attention. So your body will use it.
You're touching the stove. Your hand hurts. Get your hand off the stove because you're burning your hand.
Yes.
Pain.
So now, if we understand that, we know the body will whisper. It'll try to get your attention.
Right.
And you're not listening, and then it turns it up a little bit.
Right.
And then it turns it up, and then now your body is screaming.
Right.
Okay. But if we trace it back, it probably gave you some hints a long time ago that you weren't listening to.
Yes. There's a study that he did on women who get breast cancer. And apparently, you might know this study better than I do, but apparently they're the type of person that's very self-sacrificial, where they're doing everything for everyone all the time. And then eventually their body says, no more, Susan. Now you lay down and everyone takes care of you.
That's right.
And that's literally them creating that. Like, they've created this. They've always said yes to everyone, and they're trying to please everyone, and they're doing everything for everyone. And then it's all of a sudden, it's like, boom, your body's like, no more.
Yeah.
Now you take care of you.
You've hit your limit.
That's wild.
That is actually your body taking care of you, which is the way that we have to be able to make sure you look at it like your body was like,
because you were neglecting you.
That's right.
Yeah.
You need your needs met. You are worthy too. So how are we going to find a way to make sure you are being loved and taken care of?
Wow.
If you have to get sick in order to be actually the center of someone else's universe for once, then that's what it's going to take.
That's wild.
So
sorry, go ahead.
I was going to say the trick is learning how to connect with your body and hear when it's talking to you before
Right.
it starts screaming, and it has to have a full-blown disease or a breakdown or something, IBS or whatever has to get
Or
your
cancer
attention.
or whatever. Yeah.
Learn how to. So what I work with my clients, I'm teaching them how to connect back. So we've in Western culture separated the mind and how our brain operates from our body. We've separated the two.
You know what's funny? I want to touch on that. I for a long time have been very disassociated with my body.
Yes, most people are.
So I'm very in my head. If you want to know what I'm thinking, I can tell you instantly what I'm thinking.
What are you feeling?
What am I feeling? Fuck, I don't know.
Okay, let's do a little exercise.
Oh, no.
It's quick. It's
All right.
fun.
Okay.
I just learned this actually.
Okay.
So I was doing my psychedelic facilitator certificate, working with psychedelics with my patients, and one of the things that they talk about
That's part 2.
Yeah, another whole rabbit hole.
Yeah.
One of the things they talk about. This is a really cool way to look at it. Everything is frequency. Okay.
Frequency as in sound?
Frequency, vibration.
Okay.
Vibrational frequency.
Okay.
So if you have frequency in the brain, if you look at it on a brain scan, your brain frequency looks like this, really fast, fast frequency, quick.
Like if the brain was hooked up to a machine, that's what the machine would be displaying.
Yeah.
Okay.
Brain is fast, high energy, goes all the time, never shuts off or you die. Just go.
Okay.
Your body has a different frequency. And then your heart has a different frequency. So your heart frequency looks more like a DNA strand. So you've got your brain, your heart is going more like this,
Okay.
like a DNA strand.
Like a helix.
Your body is very slow and it's barely even a curve. Think of your body like the frequency of nature.
Okay.
You are a carbon-based being birthed from the earth. That is actually your base frequency.
Right.
Okay? So now...
So the earth, my body is the earth because it's literally
from the
the
earth.
makeup of
Literally.
the body. Yeah, 100%.
So every cell holds a frequency.
Right.
So that frequency was what made you.
Okay.
Now your body frequency, think of it as the speed of nature. Body time. Think of a tree growing. Think of a mountain moving.
Very slow.
Very slow.
Unless
That's
men get
actually
involved.
that's actually your body frequency.
Okay.
Your brain frequency, think of technology and science. Quick. So if you want to ever get into your body, now all we have to do...
Is this why we're supposed to meditate?
Yes.
Oh, shit.
And even meditation is just being mindful.
Yeah, but it's like, because you're slowing down.
You're slowing down.
Because
So
you're
now
literally
can
like a second. You know, you can literally... I mean, if I'm working, you get in the flow zone. What happens? 3, 4, 5, 6 hours go by, and you're like, boom, 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 and you're just like, you know
So
what
we're
I mean?
talking right now, 30 seconds flies by.
Right.
If I said, okay, I want you to close your eyes, I want you to go into your body, and I want you to say nothing and do nothing for 30 seconds.
That's
the
too
longest
long.
30 seconds you've had in the last hour.
It's too long.
Right?
And there's people commuting here. We want to keep
And
them.
there's time.
Yeah.
But so time fluctuates according to your experience with it.
Right.
So if you ever want to feel, you need to get into body time
Interesting.
and get out of brain time. The thing we're taught to do is to get out of brain time, it's to go into heart time. We're taught if you're not thinking, you should at least be feeling. Still a fast frequency though.
Right.
Going into your body time, just close your eyes and listen to your blood moving in your veins.
How can you do that?
Close your eyes
They are closed.
and feel your body. Ask your body where it feels good. Ask your body where it maybe doesn't feel so good. Ask your body where it just feels calm. And start to communicate with it. And it's literally as simple as just starting. And when you go into self and you go into body time, everything slows down.
Interesting.
Now we can create healing.
Interesting.
We're working with a different frequency.
Right. Yeah, it's interesting. I find the connection to the body something that's apparently in trauma you can get disassociated with your body. So, for example, if a little girl was being molested by someone who should have been protecting her, often they'll go into their body because they can't, or into their head because they don't want to be in their body experiencing what they're experiencing. It's horrific, and so. It's a complete violation of the person that should have been trusting them is now perpetrating the harm on them. So they go into their head and then they have a very disconnected relationship with their body for like the rest of their life.
So how fabulous is your brain again?
Right.
That it kept you safe to know to
Right.
do that.
That's a great example of that.
And then
creating
now,
the virus to protect you, and then now you have to get rid of it.
but you don't know when to stop it.
Right.
The brain doesn't know when to stop that program.
Right.
It doesn't know when you're okay. So now we have to go in and we have to say, okay, brain and body, and we do the work.
Yeah.
And we can go.
Yeah, and I don't want to pick on something that heavy because people will often go, well, I was never molested. No one ever did that to me, so I'm not someone who needs
It's not
this.
that bad.
Right. And that's it's like, yeah, I only get migraines once a month. It's not that bad.
I just have this bad shoulder.
Yeah, I just, I can't
have
walk
IBS.
upstairs because my knees are so bad, and I'm 43 years old. So,
I have celiac disease.
Right.
I have MS.
Crohn's.
I have Crohn's.
All that kind of stuff.
IBS. Crohn's. IBS.
Hashimoto's.
Anxiety.
Really?
Crohn's and IBS is anxiety. Hashimoto's is again anything you're going to go into a hormone level. You gave more than you received. Boundaries were violated. I have stacks and stacks and stacks of books and information that I can show you that we can go into everything that's out there. Bring me anything.
Really?
Physical, emotional.
You sound like the Statue of Liberty.
Yeah.
Bring me your weak, your meek.
Well, if the throne fits.
Yeah, that's funny.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. So SIT therapy is relatively new, but they're pulling from other things that have been around forever.
The ancients.
Right. And like, do you guys? I don't know much about chakras and stuff like that. Do you guys deal with anything like that, like chakras, or like, is there any thing that you're pulling from like Chinese medicine or like ancient, I guess in Indian, like with the chakras and stuff like that?
Yeah. So Joe Dispenza describes it as, if you use the word chakra, sometimes people can have a predisposed idea to what that means.
100%.
And as soon as the body doesn't understand, it'll shut down and can't receive from
Right.
it. So I like to use terminology that's a neutral.
Okay.
And then that makes it easy for anyone to be able to walk in. People come to me from all walks of life, all religions, all backgrounds, men, women, children. I work with couples come to me.
Right.
So I like to use energy centers. And if you think of it this way, the body uses energy to do everything. Okay, so if you want to digest your food, your body takes all of its energy and all of its hard work and it sends it all to your stomach to break down your food. So we have energy centers in the body. Think of them like a roundabout, a traffic circle. Just a very high collection of nerves in one area.
Okay.
Well, for thousands of years, those have been called the chakra system of the body.
Right.
We now understand with science what that is physically in the body.
Right.
So the work that I do, it's all scientific. It is very much, we can show you in science that it's backed up. But science is just proving the things that have been around and worked for thousands of years.
Yeah, they used to think that the meridian system didn't exist because they couldn't prove that it was there.
Right.
And now they've proved
know.
it. Now they know it's there. So the meridian system is what they ancient Chinese would do with acupuncture.
I'm glad you brought that up.
Yeah,
That's
they would
exactly.
hit certain points and then in the meridian system, and then basically, your liver wasn't functioning properly. Now your liver's functioning properly again.
So people come to me with organs. Something's wrong with an organ. They have liver disease. They have, heart, whatever it might be. Yeah.
If you have, is it always the same? Like, so let's say you have an issue with your liver. Is that going to have a common trend with people, or is it like anything could be anything?
Anger.
Oh, so it is common. So if someone has a liver issue, they have an anger issue. Really? Huh. What about like, so it is specific. So if someone's coming to you and they go, oh, I've got arthritis, I've got this, I've got that, it's usually the same. It's usually the same connection.
The only difference will be what the thing was that caused the response.
Right. Yeah.
So you might have a different trauma.
Of course.
But you're going to end up with this is.
But
where
the
you
body
ended up.
reacted the same way.
Yes.
So let's say that the trauma was this or that, doesn't matter. But then I'm angry, and so boom, liver issue.
And it's interesting because people come to me and they are absolutely not an angry person. I'm not angry. I'm sweet. I'm kind. I'm loving. I'm happy.
Right.
You can actually be angry for someone else in protection of them. It'll do the same thing in your body.
Or you could be repressing anger because you weren't allowed to feel it.
Absolutely.
Because
you have to be happy and say everything's fine. I'm fine.
Be a good girl.
Fine.
Be a good girl. Be a sweet girl.
Your body
and so you're like, oh,
it.
I'm repressing my anger.
Absolutely.
I'm happy.
That's
then
right.
all of a sudden, liver issue. So when you say like let's say it's a liver, I'm not to pick on this, but let's say it is a liver issue. It could be a multitude of things connected to anger. It's not like you're an angry person. It's like, oh, you're repressing anger. You feel angry for someone else. It's there's a tie there, but you still have to like figure it out, I guess.
Behind anger is generally sadness.
So anger is the protector.
That's right.
For the sadness that you feel.
That's right.
Right.
So we're gonna dig out those layers, and I'm gonna dig as hard as I need to get to the root. Get to the root, pull the root, the dandelion won't grow back.
Right.
All of this stuff is all symptoms. That's all your body responding.
And you're plugging in what needs to be there instead of the dandelion.
That's right.
So they're not going and having a freak out. Wow. This is interesting.
There's a lot.
Yeah, this is. It's funny because we've talked about this before, but like to go into this level of depth is interesting.
Yeah.
So why did you get into SIT? What What made
Well.
you? Yeah, tell me all your trauma, girl.
Yes. How much time do you have?
Where's the tea?
Oh, I'm kidding. I'm kidding.
Where's the tea? But like, yeah, what got you into it?
It's
Why
a
did
good
you
question.
go, I need to do this or whatever?
Good
you
question.
know what I mean?
I ended up in a place in my life where I didn't like where I was anymore. So my body was breaking down. I was very sick. I was being diagnosed with things that, again, doctors were like, oh, no, you just have gallstones. We just develop those sometimes.
Right.
No, I don't just develop gallstones out of nowhere.
Right.
Well, let's figure out the why. There's all sorts of things that were happening to me. My hair was falling out. I had insomnia. I was sick. I was really sick. And I was actually really worried I was going to die. I got to a place in my life where I was more sick than I was healthy now.
Wow.
And I knew I was too young for that.
So you were beyond the point of a whisper.
Beyond, my body was screaming
Your
to
body
get my
is
attention.
screaming.
Absolutely. And I knew I had gone through a massive change in life, and everything eventually comes to a head where you can't ignore it anymore. If you keep shoving it under the rug, it's going to come out. And so I got to a
and usually
place.
with a little bit more force, eh?
Oh. Eventually, you can't ignore it.
Yeah.
Pick your disease, pick your whatever's going to happen. I don't care how far you run, there you are.
It's
Something's
like
going to come up.
people whistling in a graveyard trying to pretend they're not scared, and then eventually you can't move anymore. And then it's like, guess what? Now you got to deal with it.
But if you actually stood there and said, okay, body, I know you feel scared right now.
Sure.
Thank you. You're trying to keep me safe. I actually respect that, and I appreciate that about you. What do you need to feel safe in this moment? What can we do to make sure we're going to be okay? Let's work on this together.
Well, this is a tool, it sounds like.
Yeah. Body's going to have a very different response.
I don't want to
right?
get into the tools yet. We will.
We're going to talk about me
I
for a
want to
bit.
talk about
Okay.
you for a second. So
Look at me deflecting.
Don't deflect.
Okay, so I ended
body
up in
is
a place
screaming.
in life where my body was screaming. I knew that if I didn't do something, I was not going to be able to be well, and I was not going to have the quality of life I wanted, and I wasn't going to be able to raise my children the way I needed to. And I knew I had to do something, and I was not interested in taking pills. I was not interested in surgery, and I was not interested in
certainly
Band-Aids.
some pills. Joking. Love you, Mom.
She doesn't know about that. No, I wasn't interested in the
You wanted the
Band-Aids.
root cause.
I wanted effective, permanent, and quick change. I was not interested in, I wasn't going to heal for 25 years.
Yeah.
What am I going to do right now?
God, imagine all that life you would have missed out on, eh?
And I'm glad I started
25
this
years
in
of
my
healing
30s.
journey. Like,
Absolutely.
can you imagine that?
Yes. People are coming to me in their 70s.
I know.
And like, thank goodness we can at least do that. But if we can bring this to our youth, if we can, so is my big thing was I knew that the greatest gift I could ever give my children was a healthy, strong, stable, and emotionally balanced version of me.
100%.
And I wasn't that.
The best thing you can give your kids is the best version of yourself.
Yes.
And I have such a qualm with moms who sacrifice themselves for their kids. I love you, moms.
It's our society's training.
I love you, moms. It's Western society is making them do this, and they're taking them to soccer practice. They're taking them to dance. They're taking them to all these different things, and they're not working on themselves. They're not respecting themselves, and their bucket is empty.
I burned out.
Empty.
I
and
hit
guess
a
what
wall.
happens when the bucket's empty? Now your body starts breaking down.
That's right.
So it's like,
I
oh
hit a
my
wall.
God, I cannot stress that enough. That's how important that is. It's so important that you
Absolutely.
are so you're your first priority.
Yep.
You are your first priority in life.
Oxygen mask.
Boom. Put it on yourself,
first.
then you put it on
That's
your
right.
kids. So if you're not doing that right now, I want this to be a wake-up call for you in Radioland.
Yes.
You need to
Please.
prioritize yourself.
Please.
And no one will do it for you. No one's coming. You are the knight in shining armor. You've got to do it for yourself. So anyways, let's get back into what you were saying. So your body's screaming. You wanted a permanent, quick, efficient,
Effective.
I
wanted it to work. I wasn't interested in a Band-Aid. I wasn't interested in, we'll do this, but we're not quite sure. No. I knew I have this, and this.
Yep.
And I started to become aware of self. So I started to realize that I was running automated behaviors and responses that I didn't like in my life.
You were running automated behaviors and responses in your life.
I had ways of reacting in situations where I thought, that was a little over the top.
Yeah.
I don't like that so much.
I wonder where you got that from.
Or I would be very upset, very worked up, very over the top about something that other people didn't seem to get so worked up about.
Right.
Why was I in a tizzy? There was things I started to realize that weren't serving me anymore.
Yeah.
And I didn't want to be that person anymore.
Yeah.
And I knew.
Did you start doing that one by one? Did you start breaking down responses one at a time? Like when you had a trigger and you're like, why am I getting triggered right now? Did you start doing that one at a time?
It's all connected. It's like a big ball of wire.
It is.
And so with my clients, I explain this to them. You have a house of cards. I want to pull that bottom card.
But that'll make it fall over.
Great. They're all gone. But if the Jenga tower comes down just a little bit,
Right.
and we pull out another one, and then
Yeah.
it comes down just a little bit, and we pull out another one, I didn't want to sit there and do this with every
Yeah,
little
you're
brick
just
in my tower.
pull it out. Yeah.
So anyway, I was in a bad place, and I actually became scared, and that's when stuff gets real.
Yeah.
When you're in those moments of staring in the mirror and saying, "Okay, this is it." And I had recently gone through divorce. I had moved to a new province. I had left my community, my family, my support. I lived in the same street I grew up on, and
Yeah.
I moved to a completely new city where I knew no one. I had restarted my whole life. I had no education behind me. I had no money. I had no resources. I knew I needed to create the life that I wanted my children to be able to live in, where they didn't have to heal from
Yeah.
what I was passing down to them.
Yeah.
And I knew this has to stop with me, because I could already see it in them, and I already knew I'd already passed down things that I refused. I said, this ends with me now. And I started to do some research, and I bought every book I could find, and I started following the Joe Dispenzas, the Gabor Mates, the Bruce Liptons. I started digging and just absorbing absolutely every piece of information I could find of, I want to know the cellular root cause of why I am the way I am, and what I can do about this. And I wanted to be able to cultivate and create a life that I chose, that works for me. I
Yeah.
wanted to look in the mirror every day and say, I like you.
A proactive life, not a
I'm
reactive life.
proud of you.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
I wanted to choose my responses, not react to my environment anymore. And so I ended up actually chatting with my two friends that started the school that I'm certified through. And I said to them, I had actually we were just chatting and having coffee, and I explained to them what was going on in my life.
Breaks for a second. How did you meet these people?
Years ago, actually, in a different company I was with.
Oh, okay. So,
Yeah.
so you had an established relationship
Yep.
with them. They
Went down this road.
separately from you were going down this road of healing as well.
Yes.
Oh, okay.
And I just moved to Alberta, and I was like, hey, let's get together. Let's have a cup of coffee.
They
You're
were-
the only
they were
people
in
I know
Alberta?
here. They were in Edmonton.
Okay.
And they said, absolutely. Came in, told them what had happened in my life and what I had gone through recently, and they just sat there and went, whoa. We're thinking about building this school, and we think that you might. I was like, I'm in your first class. I want in. This is exactly what I'm looking for. This is the tool. This is what I believe. This is science. This is empowerment. This is fixing things. This is real. This
Right.
I can get into. And so I dove in, and then there's the work. And then in order to be effective at this, guess what? You get to fix your own stuff, and you get to work on you, and you get to unpack your own suitcase.
Can
in
you
order to
can
be
you
able
do
to turn
that?
around.
Can you pull yourself apart like that?
You have to.
Right.
It's required. And to become more self-aware and to dig into your own things. And it's interesting, everything I unpack or everything I dig through, sure enough, a client comes to me and they're going through that. And I say, okay, I know how to address this.
Interesting.
But yes, I think that is becoming aware of self and embodying self. And it's an ever-evolving journey, but I don't want to make it sound like it has to always be a struggle.
Yeah.
It's actually beautiful. And I've come to
Yeah.
this place where I just feel so at peace.
Yeah. A lot of people put happiness on a hill
Absolutely.
and they try to climb the hill to get to happiness.
Absolutely.
And the reality is that happiness is in you, and it is in enjoying the journey and loving the journey. And it's not enjoying the sunshine. That's happiness, and that's great. But it's
joy.
also enjoying the rain. And it's
Yes.
experiencing the experience of life, and it's being present in the moment. And a lot of people put themselves down the road and they go, when I achieve this, I'll be this. And it's like, no, you are that. Just be that now. Just be the happiness that you think down the road that you're going to be, and be it now, and just be happy. Because if you're not happy now, you're not going to be happy then.
So for some people, that's scary because it's not safe to be present in their own body.
Yeah, for sure.
So if you don't unpack the trauma and you don't teach yourself that it's safe to actually sit and be present with self, it can be scary to sit and try to be happy with self when that's a scary, quiet place to be.
Interesting.
And so when you start to unpack and you start to heal that journey and you actually enjoy your own company and you enjoy being, I don't want to climb a hill. I want to skip through a field.
Yeah.
I want to go sit by a river. I didn't know what I wanted to do.
Right.
I didn't even know what I liked anymore. I didn't know what made me happy or brought me joy. I was burnt out. I was in go mode. I was in survival.
Yeah.
It wasn't about being happy. It was about surviving.
You can't thrive when you're getting chased by a tiger.
So if we don't shut off the fight or flight or the fawn or the flop or whatever F you want to use, there's so many now. It's like the list just keeps growing.
My favorite's a 4-letter F word.
I've used it often.
Yeah.
But if you don't learn how to shut that off, if you don't learn how to turn it on when you need it, and then
Right.
shut it off. We live in a society where we are wired for fight or flight on a consistent basis,
Yeah.
and we're burning ourselves
The
out.
cortisol level in every single person.
Your adrenal glands, everything, you're shot, right? So
Yeah.
I got to a place where my adrenal glands were shot. My blood work was awful. I was being warned by doctors. And so
Wow.
And I was in my 30s.
Yeah.
I was not an old woman. I was
No.
supposed to be in the prime of my life.
Yeah.
And I knew if I didn't change something, my children were going to pay the price.
Yeah.
And I needed to be strong enough to stand up and heal myself.
Mm-hmm.
Because if, especially even as a mother, if you can't do it for you and you can't find that strength because you have to give everything to them,
Mm-hmm.
I had to flip that around and say, hang on, what am I giving to them? Because
Right.
if I'm not here to take care of them, if they have to take care of me,
Yeah.
if I'm giving them my generational trauma.
Yeah.
So I decided to give my children a different gift. And that gift was I needed to become the most whole, strong, and emotionally stable and balanced version of myself that I could be. And SIT was the first tool that I found, and it worked.
Wow.
And it continues to work. I use it myself. And then I've continued my education and my training and just pulled in different modalities and different tools that work effectively. And I've combined a toolbox that I believe if we can spread this to everyone and anyone that struggles with anything, if you don't feel
Yeah.
good in self,
Yeah.
do a couple sessions and
Yeah.
get into that.
This is something that should be in schools. It's something that should be in hospitals.
Absolutely.
Doctors should know it. Teachers should know it. They need to like. In Canada, we have the Indigenous population in Canada. They've been going through horrendous traumatic events for the last 150 years, over and over again. Whether you want to talk about, the schools and the Catholic Church had the residency schools and stuff like that, and even just the life on the reserve and the hopelessness,
the level of generational
and trauma that these
Absolutely.
guys. There's so many people that are just carrying things that have no idea they're carrying it for someone else. They're just carrying it.
And so that's a strong example of people that do know, they are aware of what their people have been through.
Yes.
They know, they're raised understanding this is what happened to us. The problem is now when we talk about just Western society, most people are not raised aware of what happened to them.
Right.
Life is just normal to feel that way.
Right.
What do you mean everyone has anxiety? Everyone's on antidepressants.
Right.
Everyone has Crohn's. Everyone has IBS.
Right.
No.
It's wild how much more, and I know it's, food is part of it, but it's wild how much more in the last 150 years autoimmune diseases have gone through the roof. People's mental health is completely gone. Like the amount of, schizophrenic, bipolar, all of these different things where it's like the mind is fragmenting because they're not like healthy. You know what I mean?
Interesting. Autoimmune disease, 80% women. Why
Be a
is
good
that?
girl.
Yeah.
Yeah. Don't
talk about it.
Don't talk
Smile
about it.
and
Don't
nod.
be mad.
Give to everyone else.
Right.
Don't take care of yourself.
Interesting.
Yeah.
Interesting.
80% women.
Yeah, and that was it was breast cancer as well. I can't remember that study. I wish I knew it off the top of my head, but literally it's
Gabor Mate refers to it in his book When the Body Says No.
That's right. That's what it's that's where it's from.
It might be
When
The Body
Says-
Keeps Score. I think it's When the Body Says No.
I think it's When the Body
It's
Says
the very
No.
first book I ever read actually that got me onto this path. I picked up that book and I read it and I bawled.
Yeah.
And I just saw myself.
How
and
could
I
you
was
not,
like,
right?
Here we go.
Yeah.
This is what I needed. And that started me on my journey.
Yeah, reading yourself in the pages.
Mm-hmm.
Wow. So you had this experience in your life. You're at the place where your body's screaming. You're sitting with your friends, and you're like, I want. They already had the course ready, or they were just thinking of doing it.
They were in the process of building it.
Okay, so
Hesitant as to whether or not they should launch.
How
and
did
I said,
they-
the world needs this. You
100%.
have to launch.
how did that? Do you know how that process went for them? Like they were reading Gabor Mate and they were reading Joe Dispenza.
Yeah, so they ended up, again, one of them suffered from severe migraines
Right,
and had
you
tried
mentioned, yep.
everything.
Yep.
And then V she's a Chinese, she's an acupuncturist. So different modalities again.
Yep.
And yeah, came across specific research, came across interesting science, combined a bunch of things. She, I guess, actually performed the first SIT session on Ocean and said, hey, let's try this. And Ocean's never had a migraine since.
No way.
And they launched their program.
Wow.
Yeah.
So let's talk about the program. Let's talk about how it works. And I'm so off on my questions, so it doesn't matter. But
That's okay.
Let's imagine that I'm a client. I'm calling you for the first time. Do I have to be in Calgary? What's the process like for therapy? And then let's talk about the process of the session, some of the tools that you
Sure.
might give someone.
Good question.
And then let's also discuss what can we do for someone that's not maybe hey, start here. And then when you go through these books, maybe whatever. So let's go through it. Let's go through a SIT session.
Yeah.
And
Okay.
how
So
does
we'll break
what does
that down.
look
The
like?
first thing that you asked was, do you have to be in Calgary? Is this something you have to do in person?
Right.
Great question. I work via Zoom, and I work with anybody all over the world.
Okay.
So you just literally lay down on your couch or your own bed at home,
Yep.
and it's a 1 hour Zoom session, which is great. I can work with anyone, anywhere.
Yep.
Not every SIT practitioner does. Some people prefer to be in person.
For sure.
I actually prefer to work via Zoom. So
Is that
you can
because
work
is it they're less guarded?
yes. So when you don't have to drive to an office, deal with
Yep.
a receptionist,
Right.
sit in a place that you're
They're in their
unfamiliar.
house.
They're in their own home in their pajamas.
Yeah, in their
They-
bedroom or wherever
yeah.
they're laying on their bed, like their
Yeah.
guard is down.
The body knows that.
Right.
And then you don't have to go in, cry, bawl your eyes out, get mad, do whatever we do, and then put yourself back together and walk back out and say, goodbye, okay, I'll book for next week, and get in your car and drive home. You get to just be present.
Right.
I love that you can close your eyes and roll over and take a nap after our session.
Right.
I also love that we are channeled
Yeah,
and
note to
directly...
self, you may want to take a nap after your session.
Yes, yes, actually.
Yeah. For those listening in Radio Land,
yes.
plan accordingly.
Yes, I do say that
Yeah.
when you're booking. Please don't leave when you
We've
have
got to
to
hurry
work.
this up. I've got to operate heavy machinery
Yes.
in 15 minutes.
Please don't.
Yeah, don't do that.
Yeah, so I like the fact that we're connected via Zoom,
'Kay.
focused in on each other. There's nothing going on around us. There's no distraction. And energy is limitless, cannot be created, cannot be destroyed. It works like a laser beam. I can connect to you just as well in Abbotsford as I can directly sitting in front of me in Calgary.
That's some quantum mechanics shit right there.
Quantum physics, baby.
Quantum
I
physics,
love it.
yeah. So
Yeah.
so the person calls in. You get into a session. What is that process?
So what is really cool about this session is it's going to be very different than traditional talk therapy. And I'm glad that we're talking about this because people, I've been in therapy for years. It doesn't work. Traditional talk therapy is where you come in and,
100% it doesn't.
you talk about your stuff for your hour, your bell goes off and the therapist says, okay, thanks, see you next week. And you
Yeah.
walk out the door.
Just to make a comment on that, if you can't get in to see a therapist because they're fully booked, that's probably a bad sign.
Is that a problem?
Think about it. Think about it. Sorry, I have so many patients that keep
Yes.
coming back to me.
How long have they been with you?
I can't take any more patients. It's like, wait a minute. Wait a minute.
Yep.
Aren't you trying to heal them and get them back out into the streets and whole and healthy? I'm trying. It's like, maybe it's not working.
Yeah. So
Anyways, they call in.
The reason why I love, just to digress a little bit, the reason why I love the difference between this and traditional talk therapy
Yep.
is that we now understand that in order for the body to bring up a memory, the
Yep.
body has to create the same chemical compound of we'll describe it this way. The emotional state that you were in when
Yep.
the trauma occurred needs to be where you are for the body to access that file in your brain. So every time you talk about what you went through, you
Right.
bring your body back to that state, put your cells through that all over again, reinforce it. Remember we talked about the big wide highway?
Yeah.
You're on that neural pathway.
Right.
So every time you go into talk therapy and you talk about it and talk about it and talk about it and talk about it and you keep it alive and keep it alive and keep it alive, like, why isn't this healing? Why isn't this going away? Because you keep talking
Yeah,
about
it's
it.
like you keep ripping off the scab.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
So we don't want to go into having to talk and talk and talk and talk and talk about it. What we want to go in is we want to find the root of it and we want to address that right away. So I have a 5-step system that I use when people come into my sessions, and it's going to start with, why are you here?
Yeah.
What is it that no longer serves you that you want to release?
Okay.
And it could be anything.
What if the person doesn't know? They let's say, what if they're like, oh, I get migraines all the time.
That's your reason.
Okay.
Migraines.
Got it. So they're coming with something that's wrong. They've noticed it, and they're going to be like, hey, I get blood in my urine when I pee because my liver's not working. And you're like,
That's a big reason.
Let's
talk about that.
That's a big why.
Yep.
Yeah,
Let's address
got it.
that right now.
Okay.
Okay. And then
For the record, I don't have blood in my urine when I pee. That's not a thing. It's not me. I actually don't.
Like, why did I use that example?
Now everyone's
That's a
going to be that. Yeah. Now everyone's going to be like, wait a minute.
Yes.
Somebody call a guy a doctor.
Somebody,
Yeah. That was out of the ether. I just
Yep.
imagine
No.
maybe somebody listening in Radio Land.
Somebody you connected to someone.
That's
Yes.
okay. So anyways.
Okay. So where were we? So we come in for the reason.
Yep.
And then my next question is, so the way to frame that is, what are you ready to release the thing that no longer serves you? Okay. So what are you here to release? What do you want to get rid of? And then my next question is, are you truly ready to give up the thing that makes you sick?
Right. Because that's a great question.
Do not come to me
Yeah.
if you are not actually really quite ready,
Yeah.
but you think you're supposed to be.
I like being sick because I'm a hypochondriac, and when people are around me, it makes me feel good that they're worried about me. You're probably not going to release anything because you probably want it.
Which, again, let's think from programming.
Right.
As a child, People didn't hear me when I asked for connection and to be seen and validated.
Right.
The only way I got attention was in crisis. So I had to be sick for my mother and father to pay attention to me because they were both busy working all the time.
Right.
So now if I'm sick, someone will come in and love me.
Yeah.
It's always just a program.
Yeah, now they're taking little Sarah to the hospital, and she's
That's
with her
right.
parents, and they're
That's
holding
right.
her hand.
Now she feels loved.
And she's feeling connected and loved.
Right. So
Right.
with what I do, here's the very, very important thing. There is zero space for judgment.
Right.
There is never a right or wrong. It is never going to be my opinion, and it's never going to be a judgment on why you're coming to me.
Right.
I don't care if you're the villain in someone's story. I don't care if you're the victim in someone's story. There is never going to be a judgment or a right or wrong. It always just is, and it's always just because.
Right.
And if we can get into that with humans, where instead of looking at them and saying, but you're the bad guy, but you're the good guy, I don't care if he's the bad guy or the good guy. That has nothing to do with it. Something happened. There was a cause and effect. We need to fix that. The results will go away. They'll change.
Interesting.
It is not going to be about personal opinion. When you go into traditional talk therapy, it will be often, well, this was right or this was wrong or this was... I'm not interested in that. I want to know the science. I want you to come to me with the reason as to why you're here. Are you truly ready to give that up? Because this will work.
Right.
So if you're getting...
If you're ready.
If you're ready. People come to me because they're desperate. They've tried everything. Now they're ready to do the work. Come to me then, okay? Come to me when you're like, no, I actually don't want to be
Guess
sick
I won't
anymore.
need these voodoo shrunken doll heads anymore. It's like, tried everything.
I've tried everything. So now we do that. So now we're going to say, what do you want instead? Well, I get a migraine every day that I know that I've got a big presentation at work within 2 weeks. My subconscious brain knows that. I'll get a migraine the day before, every time. Interesting.
Wow.
What do you want instead? Well, I want to know that whenever I've got a big presentation at work, I don't need to check out the day before because I'm scared of not showing up and failing, because when I was a kid, every time I failed, my dad used to get mad at me and I was never good enough. So now we're going to go into, why are you here? What do you want instead? Well, what I want instead is to know that I am strong and capable and I'm intelligent and I can give that presentation at work, and I am also worthy of receiving the reward of knowing I did a good job. Okay, that's what we're going to program into your body. I'm going to go into the root cause now. So now I'm going to communicate with your body.
This is the fifth question?
We're on the fourth stage now,
Okay.
the root. So we're gonna go reason. We're gonna go into reframe.
Okay.
And then we're gonna go. Now we're in the third, root. So now I'm gonna communicate with your body. We're gonna find out what stage of healing you're at, how long this has been going on in your body for, if it's parked in any of your organs.
Slow down.
Yep.
You're going into their body subconsciously.
So this is probably a wrong way to explain that. Sorry.
Yep.
Let's break that down.
Okay.
I communicate with the meridian lines and energy field of your body. So I have learned how to use my intuition and my knowing to see frequency, to feel frequency, and I can tell where frequency is blocked in your body. So
Some psychic shit.
my intuition is strong, and I have honed it over the
It's
years.
like the Force. Come on, Yoda, tell us more.
That's exactly what it is, actually.
Interesting.
Yes. So now if I can communicate with your body, think of it like muscle testing, applied kinesiology.
Yeah.
That's often used in a chiropractic office. Okay.
Well, for everyone in Radioland, that is some awesome shit. Some applied kinesiologists, you would be like, "Oh, are you low in sulfur?" And then you can't hold your arm up anymore, and your arm suddenly goes weak. It's wild.
Yes. So
super cool.
So look up applied kinesiology.
Yep.
Muscle testing.
Yep.
I can do that without actually having to touch you.
Oh, cool.
It's the same thing.
Okay.
Okay, I'm using the same system in my body to yours. I used to have to physically touch my clients and be able to use the arm and move that. And I now have just done it for so long that I've been able to develop the ability to do that long distance. But so I'm going to use that applied kinesiology now. Again, we're using science. This is all science-based. And we're going to find out where the weak spot is in your body. Is it your liver? Is it your heart? Is it your intestines? That will show me which emotions are connected now. So now we can go and say which emotions are behind this.
So if someone is having knee pain or lower back pain or whatever, you're aware of what it's connected to.
So lower back pain is probably going to show like you're carrying a large burden. You feel like you need some more financial support. You feel like there's a lot of stress on you, and it's hard for you to have to hold all of that by yourself. And the weight of the world that's coming down on you, think of it like compressing your spine.
Right? So you're pinching the
right.
nerve endings or whatever.
So somebody coming to me and I'm saying, oh, I can tell that you can't afford your mortgage and your car payments are behind it. No. This is a general, are you feeling this? And they go, yeah.
Right.
Their details might be slightly different for their story.
The carbon tax.
Right? Yeah. Right?
Yeah.
So no, your body's not going to come in and show me all your deepest, darkest secrets. You have to be scared to hide all that.
Sure.
It's very much.
But even at the same time, this is a non-judgment zone. You're in the tree of trust, in the nest in the trust tree. I mean, everything's good.
Yes, you're in the home tree.
Yeah, I mean, really, that goes to the second question: do you really want to heal? Like, do you actually really want to heal? Do you want to hold on to your migraines and hold on to your ego? Or do you want to just let that go, put that on the side for a second, let's dig into it, and then let's do the work that you need to do, and then actually heal?
But again, let's remember, come from a place where, thank you, body, for how well you showed up for me to give me that tool to survive.
Right.
Because we can look at people and go, what's wrong with you, man? Go fix yourself.
Yeah.
No, it's not that simple. Or we'd all be
it's a lot of
walking
that
around
red.
fixed.
There's a lot of the red pill. Go.
Yes.
Just go buck up, buddy.
Yeah, no, that's what got us here in the first place.
Right.
So if we can look at people and say, wow, you were so incredibly strong, and your body was so brilliant that it found a way to have your needs met, and then you've been running that for so, like, how fabulous are you? How incredible is it that your body can say, wow, your lower back hurts? I think I'm under financial stress. I should probably go address that.
Wow.
How fabulous is our bodies to be able to communicate like that with us?
Yeah, whisper, then yell.
That's right. And then go, oh, okay, body, I hear you. You're right. We are under financial stress. Let's go address that.
Right.
We used to live like that. We used to use our bodies to tune into what was best for us. We knew what foods nourished us. We knew how the land fed us. We knew how to connect into the energy grid of our planet and ground our bodies. We are so disconnected from everything now.
Yeah,
that
sterilized rooms, wearing shoes,
Yes,
all
we
the kind
lost
of thing.
all that.
Disconnected from the planet.
Absolutely. So back to now we're at the
let's
root
get back into
cause.
this. Yeah, root cause.
We're going to figure out what the root cause was. Often the body just needs to be validated. Yeah, that's exactly what it was.
Really?
That's it.
Just boom.
Because it only was trying to get your attention. So now once you go, oh, I get it, ding, the body goes, oh, thank God, he's finally listening. Thank you. That was exhausting. Dude, you were stubborn. That was 15 years of me trying to talk to you.
Wow.
So now we just change the program. And we say, thank you, body. And we can now give it a new program to run instead, develop that new neural pathway, okay? And then now we're going to go into the reprogramming stage. I use specific sentences that my clients will repeat after me. So this whole process, I'm walking you through it. You're not just coming in and having to, come up with your own answers for an hour, like talk therapy. So anyway, I'm going to walk you through that. We're going to do the reprogramming. We'll give my clients homework depending on whatever their session is. I use different tools and methods.
Math or social studies?
Yeah, algebra, your favorite.
Okay. Perfect.
You always love that class.
So what do you do? What do you act? No, genuinely though, what are you
Yes.
doing for homework? It's like, hey, read this book.
Yeah. So let's talk about, maybe.
Whoa, let's not yet. I want to finish the 5 questions.
Okay.
So let's. I don't want to. Let's save homework for after because I want you to finish that segment so we can move into the next one.
And I would love to give your listeners some practical tools that they can take home and use as of today.
Perfect.
That will make a change that they could feel in their bodies right now and know maybe there is something to this. So we'll do that maybe towards the end. I'll give you guys some real tools you can use right now that will bring this into your world.
Let's do it. Yeah, because that's the beginning for a lot of people. I think getting them on that pathway is so important. So root cause. Sorry, I interrupted you, but go ahead. So
okay.
root cause.
So now we know what the root cause was. Okay, this happened to you at this age with this person.
Right.
And this was the result. And this is how you felt.
Whoa. Let's break that down real quick. So you're able to tap into their meridian system, and with your intuition, you're going to say, like, did something happen to you when you were younger? At, this age, is that how you kind of guide them? And then they go, oh, I don't really, maybe.
So your body will tell us roughly how old you were when the trauma occurred.
Okay.
Because again, the subconscious brain doesn't understand time. It only understands an imprinting. So at a specific time, something happened at a specific age. The part of your subconscious brain that took on that trauma for you stopped developing at that age.
Say that again. The subconscious stop developing? Say that again.
So whenever something happened, let's say you were 3 years old and something happened to you.
Yep.
That trauma imprint, there's a piece of you that stopped developing and growing as of 3 years old. And there's a little piece inside of you that will always be 3 until you heal that little guy. So now you're in a situation where you're triggered and you're a full-grown adult, but you're throwing a temper tantrum like a kid. And somebody looks at you and goes, why are you acting like a 3-year-old?
You're acting like a toddler, dude.
Right, because actually that age was triggered because you were in a similar situation.
Right.
Your body knew, wait, I know how to address this.
And he's never fixed the trauma, so he's going back to the 3-year-old state.
Because that's the tool he knows to survive that environment.
Wow. That's wild.
So when you look at a full-grown adult and you're like, why do you throw a fit over something?
For sure. I think I'm thinking of people, you know who you are. For sure. No, that's interesting.
Yeah.
Okay, wow.
So we go in and we're going to address that 3-year-old self.
So you're going to hit it, like, we got this, and then they're going to be, oh yeah, turns out this happened actually right about that time. Okay, so then what? You've identified it.
Yep.
You've got an age roughly.
Yep.
Then what?
So now we're going to go in, and this is where I'm going to go into the reprogramming stage.
Oh.
Okay. So we know, where are you in your healing journey? How far into this are you? Are you still in denial?
So they don't
Are you
need to
still...
feel anything. They don't. You just identify it.
Yeah, you've already been feeling it for a long time.
Right.
So what we're going to do is, if you need to have the emotions and you need to release them, absolutely. If you want to just be like, yep, I'm ready to get rid of it, get it out, no problem. Let's just talk about it and do the reprogramming. Often emotions are released because your body holds the emotion connected to the memory.
Hence the nap.
So often you're going to go through, you could be tired, you could feel like you need to go for a jog, you could have a lot of things come up over a few days because your body's like, oh, thank God, we finally addressed this. I don't have to hold all this anymore. And it wants to let it all go.
The trauma's in the tissue.
Issues are in your tissues.
Issues in the tissues.
Yeah,
so you're literally releasing. When you say it's an issue in the tissue, is there like an actual physical thing?
Yes, it's called neuropeptides. So when you go through so whenever you develop any kind of an emotion in your body.
Jesus Christ. Yeah, that's a neuropeptide, dude.
Yeah, this is where I nerd out.
Everybody knows that.
Yes. I told you when we first went to start this, I said, how many episodes would you like to do?
Yeah, no doubt.
So what happens whenever,
neuropeptides.
so we have to create a chemical compound. I like to think like a chemical cocktail to create any emotion in your body. So all of a sudden you've got,
as you were saying before, right?
Fight or flight. Well, you need, your adrenal glands have to kick in, and your hypothalamus kicks in, your pituitary gland kicks in. It goes, okay, boys, let's run. And you have to create, and now that physically floods your body.
And people get addicted to that.
So now we have, the, I realized I'm nodding, but those out in Radio Land can't see me agreeing with you.
No
Should
idea.
say, yeah.
Like, oh yeah, great point. It's just silence.
Blank, yes.
Yeah.
So
this guy must be an idiot. The expert's not agreeing with him.
she's just rolling her eyes in the background. So yes, so we create this chemical compound and cocktail, and it floods through your whole system. And in nature, when you watch the gazelle getting chased by the tiger chases the gazelle or chases the deer, and it bolts. Ears are back, tail goes, and shoop, it takes off. Once the tiger stops chasing it, you watch that gazelle will stop, and it'll shake its body really hard. It'll kick out its back legs, and it actually releases that chemical cocktail out of its body. It vibrates it right off, and then you watch it, and it goes, goes through the field eating grass like nothing happened.
Until the cheetah comes along.
And boom, it creates a chemical compound, and it runs, and it takes off, and it's good. As humans, we are not taught how to release that chemical cocktail. So we create it in the moment.
Right.
Good boys, strong boys, don't cry. Good girls smile. Something happens to us. We're sad. We're angry, and we're told, no, you smile and nod and be a good girl. So we go, okay, and we swallow down that chemical cocktail in our body. Now, those are physical neuropeptides that you can see in your bloodstream.
Now you have lupus.
Cancer, IBS, Crohn's. So what's happened is your body will park that for you. And your body will park those neuropeptides in an organ that has, I don't want to get too complicated, but anyway, it will find where it can park that in your body. So for instance, anger matches liver. Those cells will attach. Neuropeptides can attach.
Okay.
This is why antidepressants work.
Right.
Because you're going in and you're actually attaching. I don't want to go down too many rabbit holes when it comes to that kind of stuff. But
let's stay on track here.
Very much neuropeptides are physical. So when I say to you, if I took your blood before and after a session, I meant it when I said it would change.
Right.
Because you're actually going, in our session, we are going to teach you, like the gazelle, kick your back legs, put your ears back, let go of what you've been carrying, release it out of your system.
Okay.
Now your body doesn't have that in it anymore. We can go back to your natural setting, which is what the gazelle does when it goes, okay, I can wander through the field and go eat the grass now.
Right.
I'm okay.
Pre-trauma.
That's right.
Pre-trauma.
That's right.
So anyways, we identify, you're fixing, you're reprogramming, and then you're giving them tools. Okay.
Absolutely.
Now let's talk about the tools.
Sure. So there's a few things that we can do to instantly start to help to heal the body.
This is after the session?
Anyone can use these tools right now.
Okay.
Okay. So if you're in a state where you think, maybe I could try this. I deal with this thing.
Sure.
There's a few ways that you can tell if this is something that might be for you. Now, I took my notes here. I ended up putting a little bit of a list together because I didn't want to leave anybody out. But so how do you know? You asked me a question. How do you know if this is for you?
Yes.
Here's some signs or symptoms you could look for.
You are alive. You're breathing.
Yep. Come see me.
You're male or you're female.
Yes.
Or you're whatever.
Yes. I don't care what you identify as. If you're here, come see me.
Those.
So here's some of the things. If you're trying to have an in-depth experience and be present with life, like you said, but you struggle to be in your body.
Yep.
Sometimes you're experiencing life, but it feels like you're underwater. Like there's a little bit of a there's just this thing between you and everyone around you. You almost exist in a bit of a bubble. It means it's hard to be present with self. If you ever have that feeling, if you have a reoccurring physical injury, I just have a bad knee, I have a bad shoulder, I have a bad elbow.
Yeah.
Why was that your weak joint? Where did that come from?
Okay.
Right? So how come it was your elbow, but somebody else that did the same sport as you next to you, their elbow never gave out?
Could you have something like, an injury that's a legit injury?
Absolutely.
Yeah, okay.
Oh, they are legit injury. Here's the thing. All of this, and this is where we have to be very careful how we communicate this to people.
Sure.
We don't want to invalidate anyone's journey.
Yeah.
Those are real migraines.
For sure.
That is a real disease you just got diagnosed
cancer.
with.
It's real lupus. It's real
bad
Crohn's.
elbow.
Yeah, you really can't eat gluten. You're really effed up or whatever.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
On a cellular level, that was a response in your body to either environment, energy, whatever happened that created that in your body. So that is a real thing.
You could be having an actual physical response. You broke your leg doesn't heal properly.
Yes.
That is the way it is.
So I had a guy, he was on a basketball team.
Okay.
And they always sent him in to do the it's called penalty shot
a free throw?
Yeah, whenever they got what's it called when the other team you get a I'm just drawing a blank.
Free throw.
Is that called a free throw?
Yeah.
Okay. So he was the guy that the coach always put in for that throw, and he would panic because he was scared to miss that shot and his team would lose, or everybody would think he was a bad basketball player. So the coach told him, "You're going in," and on the way in, he sprained his ankle.
No way.
And every time he has to perform in life and something has to happen, that ankle gives out.
No way.
So his body knew, I'm going to protect you
Yeah.
from subjecting yourself to that kind of criticism,
scrutiny or whatever.
fear,
Yeah.
whatever. So absolutely phenomenal that his body was so powerful. It knew, I'm going to protect you from that pain.
So walking
and
out
he
to the
trips
court,
and falls,
sprains his
ankle.
Can't go, coach.
Gets carried off on a stretcher. And then now he has a weak ankle for the rest of his life. But guess what happens every time he has to go do something or perform or show up? His ankle gives out. He doesn't have a weak ankle anymore.
He's never tap danced again.
Yeah.
Anyway, sorry, let's get back into this.
Okay.
Yeah.
Unexplainable physical symptoms. Well, I just always had anxiety. I've never been able to sleep. I've always been scared of. No one is born with any of those things. Where did they come from?
Right. Of
There's
course not.
always a root.
Yeah,
right?
of course. Even if it's so young you don't remember, there's something there that caused the root. Why would you be born with anxiety?
You're not.
Why is that normal?
Ever.
Why would you be born with migraines?
That's right.
You wouldn't be.
That's right.
Okay.
Babies are born with the fear of two things: falling and loud noises.
Ugh. That's why my kids don't like me.
Anything outside of that, because you
So
screamed
loud.
a lot and dropped them.
Yeah.
Anything outside of that is something you've picked up from somewhere,
Right.
or something because of a reason.
Right.
Anything. Okay.
Cool.
You've read all the books, you've watched all the videos, you've gone to all the therapies, you've tried all the things, and you just keep looping back. That thing keeps creeping back. Maybe the bad habit, or I just can't seem to get to the gym, or why do my relationships always fail? Why do I always date the jerk? Why do I always date the crazy girl? Why do we keep looping into the same? But I'm reading all the books. I'm doing it because there's a root program you haven't pulled out yet. You can read all the books you want. If you don't address the root,
You can help someone who doesn't want to go to the gym or dates toxic people.
absolutely.
What?
Those are safety programs.
Wow. So we're not talking just about health and
We're
wellness.
I mean anything.
Because you said earlier, physical,
Yes.
mental,
Yes.
emotional.
I had a guy
you
who
could
was-
have an emotional addiction to toxic women or men. You keep going back to the same person who's abusing you emotionally, and this is a root. There's a root in there that you can fix.
So if you were younger and the people that you wanted to love and be close to didn't give you that connection that you were looking for, and you were taught that reaching out for that connection meant that you were going to be rejected or abandoned, why would you get close to someone
Wow.
who could just reject you or leave you?
Wow.
It's safer to date the crazy person, the toxic person that you're never truly going to be that close to, because then they can't abandon you or hurt. There's always going to be a program.
Wow.
I don't care what it is. Like I said, if you've got a loop, if you're struggling with something, come to me. You automatically react. If you find yourself being a very reactive person without thinking, you just have these things you do and you don't even know where they come from or why. They're probably not even yours.
Wow.
Yeah.
Right.
So there's just a little list to get started that would address the, who should come to me. And then let's talk about 3 tools that I want to pass on to everyone that you can do right now.
And then I have 3 questions for you.
Sure.
And you're not going to know what they are, but I'm going to ask you them.
Sure.
And so that's how we'll end it.
Did you want to do that first so we don't forget them? Or okay.
Nope, I won't forget.
Okay.
I won't forget.
Oh.
Not on my podcast, pal. Not
Okay.
today.
Okay.
Okay.
All right. So one of the things I want everybody to do, if you're coming across something, this is going to be maybe more emotional. What I want you to do whenever you're feeling something, you're struggling, something's coming up, I want you to stop and I want you to ask yourself, is this even mine?
Okay. How do we ask ourselves?
Is this mine?
Do you
literally ask
physically
yourself.
say it out loud to yourself?
I want you, if it helps, place your hands on your heart. And you're going to say, truth, body, talk to your body. Tell me the truth, body. Truth, body, is this even mine? Have you ever walked into a room and you're having a great day and within 30 seconds your soul feels like it's been sucked out, even you're in a bad mood and you have no idea why?
Yeah.
Somebody in that room was having a bad day. We are all energetic beings. Our fields all interact.
I know if I'm not having a good day, people notice it.
That's right.
Yeah. They're like, what's wrong? Are you okay?
Are you okay?
Your energy's down.
That's right. Yeah. And we just love taking care of everybody else and taking on everyone else's stuff.
Right.
Let me pick up your pain for you. I want to pick up your stuff.
Right.
So if you feel that, truth, body, is this even mine?
Right.
More than 90% of the things you are going through, thinking, feeling, or experiencing aren't yours.
Wow.
They're things you've picked up from those around you.
Wow.
Okay? So right there, if your body's like, no, you'll hear it. You'll get good at this. Try these tools and use them for a while, or reach out to me if you're struggling with it. I can give you a different variation of it. But truth, body, is this mine? And if your body's like, well, no, but like that dude earlier, okay, or whatever it might be. Thank you, body. Thank you for being willing to carry that for me.
Right.
I give you permission to let it go.
Right. Because your body's, you're aware of it because let's say something, somebody was hostile.
Yep.
So your body's like, we better be aware and protect ourselves.
Better have anxiety. What if we're going to get hurt?
Right. Exactly. Okay. So that makes sense.
Okay.
So you're literally thanking your body for doing its job. Kept you alive, kept you safe. Maybe it was an overreaction on the body's part, but that's okay.
And like we said earlier, once it's validated, the body goes, okay, he was listening. I can stop now.
Right.
So boom, it can be literally split seconds. It doesn't have to go on for hours. It's just a moment. Okay. So try that tool. Is this even mine? And then if the body goes, yeah, kind of is.
Right.
Next thing I want you to ask yourself is, how old do you feel right now?
Interesting.
I feel like I'm 6 years old and nobody ever listened to me.
Right.
And I'm frustrated and I'm hurt. And I have to scream to get someone's attention. Or I'm going to get really quiet and go climb into my bedroom and cry.
Right.
That's generally what you're feeling in the moment. I just want to go climb into my bed and go cry. When's the last time you felt like that? When you were 6 years old? Can you remember that?
Mm-hmm.
When was the first time you felt like that? When you were 6 years old? Sorry, when's the last time you felt like that? Well, last week.
Yeah.
It's that little piece of you, that little girl, that little boy that was never validated or taken care of.
That's still stuck there.
Still stuck there. So that's going to be your response to whatever's going on in your environment. Everything that triggered you in that place. So if you're standing there and you go, man, I feel like I'm 6 years old right now. What's wrong with me? I want you to take care of yourself like you're 6 years old. I want you to picture yourself being 6 years old. I want you to wrap your arms around yourself, and I want you to say, hey, little guy, I've got you.
Right.
You're okay. Thank you for getting my attention.
Right.
I'm listening to you right now. I see you.
Right.
And you're safe with me.
Have a lollipop.
If that's what made you happy at 6 years old, you have as many lollipops as you want. Whatever it might be. What did 6-year-old you need that it didn't receive at that time that you can give it now?
A big will.
I really wanted to be tucked in at night. Okay,
Right.
go tuck yourself into bed. Listen to a good meditation. Wrap a warm blanket around yourself. Hug a pillow.
Yeah,
do what you can do to recreate what your body needed at that age that it didn't get.
That's really good. I like that. Yeah.
So you're going to show up for you. You're going to be that adult to that little you that little you didn't have at that time.
Right.
Be what you needed that you didn't get.
Or didn't, and again, didn't have in the way that it needed it.
That's right.
Right. So like your parents could have been there and been supportive, but they weren't supportive in the way that your body needed or the way that you needed at the time.
That's right. Maybe they just didn't even know.
They were doing their best.
That's right.
Yeah. And so, and again, to go back to, we're not shitting on parents. It's, they did the best they could. So don't think that it's like, oh, I can't take this because that means my mom wasn't a good mom. No. Not at all.
That's right.
Not at all. So don't put that block up.
Yeah. And then once you've discovered how old you're feeling in the moment, and it could be your present age, by the way. It doesn't have to be an old age. The next thing I want you to say to yourself is, please forgive me.
Whoa, you say that to yourself?
Yeah.
So you say, please forgive. Oh,
Yeah.
okay, I get
Please
it.
forgive me.
I get it.
I am so
So you're
sorry.
consciously apologizing to subconscious.
That's right.
Wow.
Please forgive me.
Wow.
I am so sorry. Thank you. And I love you.
Wow.
Can you feel that just hearing those words?
Yeah.
Please forgive me. I am so sorry. Thank you. And I love you.
Everyone in the car in Radioland, say that to yourself.
Yeah.
As Leah says it, I want you to say it one more time. I want you to say it out loud to yourself, and I want you to feel how you feel. Focus on that.
And before you do that, let's go into body time.
Okay.
So let's everybody slow down and just take a nice breath in. This is the next tool. It's called square breathing. So you're going to go in for 4. Hold it. And then when you breathe out, I want you to breathe out of your mouth like you're breathing out of a straw all the way down to the bottom of your feet for twice as long as you breathed in. So you're going to breathe in, hold it, and then all the way down to the bottom of your feet. And then I want you to pause. Don't breathe in right away. And then breathe back in your nose again. Do 2 or 3 of those. This is called square breathing. It shuts off your vagus nerve, which is your fight or flight. It tells your body that you're okay and you're safe.
That's really cool.
Okay, so do that a couple of times when you feel like you've gone down into body time. Now you're slow and you're calm. I want you to say, please forgive me. I am so sorry. Thank you. And I love you. You are safe with me now. And if you need to, between any of those sentences, you can insert whatever you're addressing. Please forgive me for not trusting that you were taking care of me.
Right.
I am so sorry that you've had to carry this for so long. Thank you for being so brave that no matter what came up, you just kept showing up for me. I love you and I'm proud of you and I see you. I am that for you which you did not receive when you needed it. I see you and you are safe with me now. I will take care of you. So those 3 tools, deciding if it's even yours. If it's not yours, lay it down. Did you pick up something at work today?
Right.
You don't need to own everybody's things.
Right.
Then step into talking to your body and addressing it on that level, and use that square breathing to really ground your body. That brings you into that state when the gazelle's done being chased and it goes out into that field and it's just
shaking
calm.
off that
You're just
cortisol. Right.
Yeah.
That's good.
Yeah.
That's great.
Yeah.
Okay, so I'll put in the podcast how people can get a hold of you. So I'm going to put your website, email, or whatever, so they can reach out to you.
Yes, please do.
It'll be at the bottom. So if you've been listening and there's something that came up, usually that's your subconscious mind talking to you, saying, "Hey, silly guy, you've been dealing with this X, Y, and Z. Why don't you give Leah a call? Do it." There's no reason why you need to keep coping through your life, right? You're living a life. Live it optimally. Live your best life. That's what you're here for, to prioritize yourself and get yourself to the level where you're living good, comfortable life.
Let's thrive instead of surviving.
That's right. So, okay, these are my 3 questions, and I close my podcast with this because I find it interesting. So I want you to imagine that you can live as long as you want. You can accomplish everything that you want in this lifetime. But at a certain point, the lights have to go out. And you have to move on to the next place, the next realm. Unfortunately, in this imaginary scenario that I'm just making up now, you can't leave any work behind. So there's nothing that you can leave behind for the future generations. It's all gone. Okay? Except for 3 truths. What are the 3 truths that you're leaving behind for the future generations?
Oof. That's a whole podcast. That brought tears to my eyes just to think about. What are 3 truths that we can leave behind?
Not we.
Just me.
There's no wrong answer.
I really wish you'd give me this before.
You can't. It's got to be from your subconscious.
I really believe that it is imperative that we always attain to the highest and greatest good of self. And that if we are always attaining to the highest good that we can truly be, it's okay for me to leave that generation behind, knowing that I didn't leave them with my garbage to pick up, and I left them the ability and strength to do their own work and their own healing, because they're not having to heal from mine.
Right.
So
you did your share.
I did my portion. And I believe that I actually would be able to walk away saying, if I showed up as the best version of me that I could possibly be, and I did my work, and I was brave and I dug in, I believe I'm at peace now. And to whatever level that may be for any individual, if we can do that as a collective, we've healed the world.
Yep.
And so my responsibility is to show up as the absolute most healed, strong, competent, and purposefully developed version of self. Because I might not fix all the things, but I'm going to fix at least some of them. And I'm going to make sure it ends with me.
Mm-hmm.
And if we can do that every generation,
Mm-hmm.
then I believe we've achieved a heavenly state.
Yeah.
That's it. I think that is my only truth.
Hmm.
I think that's all that matters. I think everything falls under that.
Interesting.
And then anything else is us starting to maybe dissect things or add significance or make something important. But really, in the end, it's do good and be good. And for me, if we take away all of our personal experience and we take away any excuses or any of our stories or any of our reasons, if we take all of that away, I believe that what we're left with is love. And love is the root of everything. And if we're left with love and we always come from a place of love, then anything actually is truly possible. And I used to think that was so cliche.
Mm-hmm.
And I used to think, man, they really wrote a lot of songs about that, until I started to live it and feel it. And I believe that that is what is the essence and the root of all healing and change. It began with, I knew I needed to learn how to love myself.
Mm-hmm.
And so for me, I guess the highest truth, or the most important truth, would be always end your day knowing that every day and in every way you are getting better and better and better.
Mm-hmm.
And if you are doing that every day, no matter what, everything else will be a response as a consequence.
Mm-hmm.
Everything else will unfold.
Yeah. I mean, you do have 3 truths in there. I know you're saying it's 1, but like your first truth is
Cool. I answered the question.
fully unfolding, fully developing yourself, breaking the chains. I mean, you're doing your share, but you're also, I mean, if you're working on generational trauma, you're also doing the share of those that went before you that didn't do it.
Absolutely.
So that's
those that come after me.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Love yourself is 2.
Yep.
Because that is part of 1, but it's also
True.
2. And then, oh man, the third one I lost because I was talking about the first 2. But you said something else, and I was like, that's 3.
Maybe it'll come back.
Yeah, but it's like, I mean, yeah, and I agree with those. Those are great. Yeah, those are really good answers. I mean, I think a lot of the times we get lost in the shuffle of going to work and rinse, repeat. But the purpose of your life, you don't have to be rich on a yacht in the Mediterranean to be happy. You just have to be like present, and you have to be like, you literally just have to feel it. Like, I mean, you just have to experience your life, look at your kid. And if you don't have kids, look at your dog. If you don't have a dog, look at your cat. If you don't have a cat, look at your plant. But, you know what I mean? Like, it's like people get so lost in the mundane, they miss out on their entire lives. I mean, you're supposed to be, the whole purpose of your life is to be developing, unfolding, like you said. So it's like, I think that's a beautiful answer. So yeah, I mean, and I do that intentionally. So I know I put you on the spot.
Yeah,
I do it intentionally. So I want to make you uncomfortable because it's like, what will happen is you can't choreograph
copy
it.
paste that off Google.
Yeah, you can't. You know what I mean? Every single person's got different answers, very different. I asked a politician, and his answers were, you serve your community. I talked to a doctor. He was like, he had his own. So it's every single person has such a different view on it. I just love.
It's
I
a
love
great
that.
question.
Yeah, three truths.
Yeah.
So,
and let's take that and tie that into what I was talking about with that spiritual community, where be present with self and do the work and dig in.
Yeah.
And I didn't understand what it meant to love.
Right.
I thought I was loving everyone around me and I was taking care of everybody around me, but I'm being selfless and I'm being a martyr and I'm taking care of everybody. No, you're going to be sick. That's not love, actually.
No.
So when you truly learn what love actually is.
Yeah, loving yourself. Yeah.
And again, that was so cliche. But until you actually understand that, and we can do that, we're going to learn that through healing. Believe that you're worthy of feeling healed. You don't have to struggle. You don't have to suffer. You don't have to think it's just normal to wake up exhausted every day, go to bed with a headache. Are you drinking?
Feel disconnected from people all the time.
That's right.
Yeah.
That's not how we're thriving.
No.
So if there's anything in your life where you're feeling like this is a struggle, but is it even mine? Does it even belong to me? I don't even remember where this even come from.
Why?
Anything.
This has been years. Why am I still going through this?
Yeah, you don't have to.
You don't have to.
You don't have to. There's absolutely people out there that you can connect to. And please, when you said reach out to me, I have a spot on my website. You can book a 15-minute free discovery call. Give me a call if you've got questions. Call me. Hey, you said something that made me think about this. How did this work for you? Hey, how did you connect that dot? What book were you referring to? I will talk, to anyone. Come to me, even if you just have questions. Please, if we could even just get momentum and the possibilities opening, and we can ask questions, we can create. And when you can create, you have endless possibility of what's available to you now.
You're not going to get anywhere if you're not open-minded and self-aware.
Yes. And if we're in conclusion, where we're always like, well, this is just the way it is. You're right. That's it. It's done now.
Yeah. Surprise, surprise.
Yes.
You get more of what you think you're going to get.
So questions, please come to me if you just want to talk. If you need a book, I might be able to recommend for you. If there's, whatever I can possibly help with, please reach out. Just connect to someone.
I feel like, I don't want to keep going here, but I feel like our generation is in an awakening.
I do too.
And I don't know if that's just because I am, and I'm looking for other people who are, but I really genuinely believe that we're seeing life differently than baby boomers have and the silent generation.
Yes.
And we're going, wait a minute.
Yes.
And people like Gabor Mate and Joe Dispenza, these guys are like, hey, the science is backing this up. Like, this isn't frou-frou.
That's right.
We're not, you know what I mean?
Yeah. We're not in the Industrial Revolution anymore.
No,
So
exactly.
Let's step into it.
I will have you back on because I do want to talk about psilocybin and that kind of stuff. You touched on it once. We're not going to get into it today.
There's another whole episode there.
There's a whole thing. And,
Yes.
and Gabor Mate talks about it. He talks about psilocybin. He talks about
psychedelics.
Is it ayahuasca? And
so any psychedelics.
Yeah. So he talks about all that kind of stuff. So
We'll
that's
do that
another
another day.
that's another topic.
Yes.
So stay tuned for part 2.
Yes,
and we'll get
thank
into
you.
that. But thanks for coming on.
Oh, this has been an absolute joy. Anything that we can do to share information like this and connect hearts to people.
There's a lot of people who need it.
Here's
oh
a
my
network.
God. I see people. I see people, and you can imagine like they've got their little rain cloud, and they're walking through life, and they've just got their little rain cloud. Nothing's going right.
No,
dude, you don't need to live under a rain cloud.
Yes, if we can spread this sunshine to people, if anyone can hear this podcast, if there's a glimmer of hope that we've created tonight, then this has been an absolute service, which is what it needed to be. Let's get this out there and share it with people, and it lights me up. So thank you for this opportunity. This has been an absolute joy.
Thanks for coming on.
Thanks. Yeah, no problem.
And we're done. Let's make sure the phone's not dead.
Oh no, yeah, it probably is. That was long.
No, it's not. Oh, it's still recording.
What? Yeah.